Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Alyssa Ruiz.
And I'm Leslie Duarte.
I'm Shannon McKercher.
I'm Aaliyah Becerra. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, a program that protects young undocumented immigrants from deportation.
Also, we have the report on Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos and her plan to revoke Title IX sexual assault guidelines.
And finally, we'll be bringing you the latest on some CSUF and local news. All this and more on today's episode of The Report.
Before we delve into our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester season. Click the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've talked about now or in the past. As many of these issues are recurring and evolving, ranging from gun control to abortion, climate change, or the state of politics right now, all we ask is that you please keep it civil.
Protests against the repeal of DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, have swept across the United States. DACA was founded under the Obama administration in 2012 to prevent deportation of undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children. It gave nearly 800,000 young immigrants permission to live and work in the United States. On September 5th, the White House announced the ending of DACA. In response to the decision, 15 states and the District of Columbia sued the Trump administration on September 6th over the repeal of the program. On September 11th, California followed the move by filing a separate suit against the decision. According to California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, the state and its economy will be especially harmed by the president's action. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., 250 DACA participants and supporters rallied outside the White House, holding signs that read, quote, "Defend Dreamers," end quote. In Southern California, shortly after the announcement, protesters took to the streets in Irvine, Long Beach, and downtown LA to voice their disapproval. Meanwhile, Titan TV reporters went around campus at CSUF to find out what students think about the repeal of DACA.
I think it's important to remind all students, regardless of their immigration status, that their ability to remain a college student is not contingent on the existence of DACA, that their ability to be eligible for the California DREAM Act, which provides them with state and institutional aid, does not require DACA. Their ability to be enrolled on our campus does not require DACA. Experiences and opportunities that we provide at this institution do not require DACA. So I think it's important to maintain that hope, the hope that although we have this policy change right now, we have to be optimistic and hopeful that Congress will be able to act and can pass something more comprehensive that will positively impact not only our undocumented youth and our undocumented students, but that can also positively impact their undocumented family members as well.
So last week we talked about the repeal of DACA, but a week later everything's, just become very real, and it's frightened people and angered people, with all these protests that have begun. It seems like ever since Trump took office, there's been a protest about something every month, but how do you guys feel about this?
I wouldn't call them protests. I would say they're more like rallies. People are angry and people are frustrated, but you don't see these people acting in violence. You don't see people going around burning down buildings. They are angry because they've been oppressed. This is a group that has been oppressed and feels forgotten. They're more like a rally of empowerment and showing the world and the nation, showing the nation that this is a human right and that these people deserve to stay here just like everybody else.
Yeah, it seems like they're rallying for their lives.
Right, and they only have 6 months for Congress to decide what's going to be happening now. So I can imagine that it's a scary time. Yeah. It's a tough question, and no one's saying that it's not. But I think going forward, what do you guys think what do you think the new appeal is going to be? How are we going to solve this now?
So Congress is coming up on a very tight deadline here with the budget. The fact that they have 6 months to do something about it is almost frightening, because we know Congress does nothing about anything. And it's just again, just brushing it off and not giving these 800,000 people an opportunity or a pathway to become Americans. And it's going to be interesting to see Congress work this out, because
But I think that's how it should be, because people are blaming Trump for this, and he's letting Congress decide. And I do not believe that he's going to deport these 800,000 people that have grown up in America. That's all they've known. They've established lives. They have jobs. They go to college here. I do not believe that's inhumane, and I don't believe Congress is going to do that. I don't think Trump's going to do that. Moving forward, they need to come up with something that the next president's going to agree, and the next president, and because an executive order is just as good as the current president thinks.
But then why bring up the issue now? You know?
What do you mean?
Why not just leave things the way they were then? Why, if he doesn't want to deport them, or, you know, then why bring up the issue?
So I see your point in that this is maybe taking it to Congress could be a more permanent thing, but the problem was that before DACA was implemented, which was just temporary, it was just a work permit and deferred from deportation, there was an opportunity for Congress to do something about it. And Obama pressed that and said, look at this group of individuals, do something about it. They didn't, and that's why he took executive action on this.
Right, but we all know that Trump in the beginning said his part on what he was going to do with this, but leaving it up to Congress, I believe, is the best way. It makes Republicans and Democratic leadership come together to decide what's going to happen. And that's how it should have been done. And there's actually Obama, his speech, the Department of Homeland Security in 2012, he said exactly, let's be clear, this is not amnesty, this is not immunity, this is not a path to citizenship, this is not a permanent fix, this is a temporary stopgap measure that lets us focus on resources wisely while giving a degree of relief and hope to talented, driven, and patriotic young people. So Obama knew this was only a temporary thing. He kind of made an executive order, and now it's unfair, because what are we going to do? We're not going to deport these 800,000 people, like I said, from America. There's no way that's going to happen. It's inhumane. We need to come up with a policy that's right and consistent, because that's our biggest issue right now.
See, Congress is known for not doing their job. I mean, that's the one position that you can shut down the government and still come back to
right,
get
but
your
both
job.
sides know this is an issue, so they know they have 6 months. Now we need to come up with something. I think this is it's a serious.
Maybe I just need to have a little more faith, but I don't, because, you know, Congress is just going to brush this under the rug and forget about it and not talk about it, and nothing's going to happen.
So what do you guys think they're going to do then?
I think
what do you
nothing.
think's going to
I
happen?
think nothing is going to really happen. I think that, I mean, they were already in a limbo for such a long time, and now they're going to continue to be in that limbo for another 6 months, and then probably continue to be in it after that too, because I think it's going to get done.
You don't think they're going to replace it though, or maybe make it different?
I think if they do, it'll be revoking even more rights than they have right now. Yeah, I think it's going to diminish.
I hope, though, that all these rallies and the uproar that we're seeing, you know, from everyone, even the Pope,
Yeah.
I hope that's going to, you know, show them, you know, feel for these people, protect them, be with them, support them, don't deport them, you know, come up with a better solution if you don't agree with this one. The University of California actually sued the Trump administration for this. A total of 9 campuses they have across the state, and around 4,000 undocumented students that are through DACA. So, you know, it's angered them, but they have come out and said that they are still going to support their students, even if they're undocumented. So, and I think that's important, you know, having support.
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things that has, well, not good, but one of the more positive things, I think the media and the education systems, and like you said, you know, there's no violence. It's just a bunch of heartfelt, support for one another, as opposed to, especially the media portraying all these stories on the news, like very, making them humane.
And that's why I think Congress has so much pressure on them. Because now they're like, there's so many people, everyone's rallying and saying their opinions, and I think it's good that people are doing that, and we need our voices to be heard about this, because it's like now they need to step up and figure out what we're going to do instead of brushing it under the rug.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, this seems like a movement. Allies and activists are pushing for something better with DACA. It seems that when DACA was passed, activists and allies were, okay, we have something, it's temporary, and this kind of just, the repeal of it kind of just brought back motivation and passion and saying, hey, if you want to take away DACA, go ahead, but we're not going to stop. The narrative is we're here to stay because we were practically everything an American is, but we're not documented, and that's what we're asking for. So as we see this movement continue, you see support from everybody. Selena Gomez came out to support it, Pharrell came out, Ebro for the morning show came out. You see people talking about it because it is important, and because these aren't just 800, this is not a figure, this is not a number, these are neighbors, colleagues, individuals, and classmates in school. These are people that are generally affected. If you're my friend, then you are affected by what happens to me.
Right, and there's still people that want a chance to come to the United States. Like, there's still going to be people coming here, and so I think we need to have, like, let the world know what our policy is, right? So I really think that we should revamp DACA. I really hope they don't take it out. That would be really upsetting to everyone. But I really, there's a lot of pressure on Congress right now. And I hope they can come up with something. If not, Trump's going to get involved. So, and I don't know what because he's very back and forth about it.
And I think that's the problem because we don't know. We don't know. This whole administration has been, we don't know. And it's just a mess. Like, get it together.
It's a mess.
Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos has confirmed plans to revoke Obama-era's Title IX sexual assault guidelines, while she said in a speech at George Mason University that her department would be revising the previous guidelines. She later stated in an interview with CBS that her plans are actually to repeal it. In 2011, the Obama administration declared that they would withhold federal funding if schools did not investigate sexual assault claims on campus. Furthermore, victims could press the college to expel their attacker and file a Title IX complaint if they felt the school didn't respond enough. DeVos calls these guidelines, quote, a failed system, end quote, and that it does not serve the victim nor the accused any justice. For now, the Department of Education will give out temporary guidelines to Title IX to schools as they begin to work on something more permanent. She was confirmed in 2017, very controversial. What do you guys think of her decision here?
It's a slippery slope. She was saying that she wants to replace the current approach to addressing sexual misconduct on campuses in a more workable and effective and a fair system. So that's what she says, and then in interviews she was saying something else. So I guess I would just have to wait and see what the outline is of her new order and what her new plans are in order to really give an opinion.
Yeah, everything is up in the air right now, but I can see both sides to it. Schools forbidding the accused a lawyer in, certain situations, where's due process? I believe in fairness, so I see something wrong with that. On the other side, though, what if this just gives more opportunities to the accused to get away with it? Then we could see more cases occurring, and that's nothing we want to see.
And it's hard to overstate, like, legal and moral necessity of the action. Like, the cross-examination is her biggest argument here, that these people deserve justice as well, but it's just such a controversial topic. It's really...
And I think that's a fallacy there, that if you take this away, it will give more people the authority. Like, A does not lead to B and C, D happening, It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Statistics show that 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted while getting their higher education. And the fact that she's considering doing this is just shocking.
Right, but like Alyssa said, I see both sides. You know, rape and sexual assault are serious crimes, but no accusation is serious enough to strip away from being expelled at school and getting the rights taken away. So it's also...
So you're talking about a victim and an accuser. Let's say they are found guilty and the accuser admitted it. Many cases have been that. Should the student that raped the victim still attend class with her?
No.
Absolutely not. No. I mean, I get it. She's acting as a head of an agency should, and I think it's important to promote fairness. But, you know, these cases of where the accuser is actually, you know, wrongly accused is, you know, it's not comparable to the amount of rape cases that go unreported or the rape or sexual assault cases that go dismissed.
Right.
So I think, I mean, I get it. I respect the emphasis placed on fairness and due process, but I don't think it's the right way to approach this issue of sexual assault happening on campus. I think there needs to be something more strategic, something that's gonna, like, we should focus our energy on investigation, case to case, as opposed to implementing this whole, you know, one-size-fits-all Title IX for every sexual assault case.
And absolutely, I agree with the due process. It's everybody's right to have a due process. That's not the problem. What she's saying is, I'm going to completely take away those guidelines. And instead of like working with Congress and working with both parties and coming up with something that will work for the victims and the people accused, she's completely wants to take it away. And now we're back to where colleges didn't even do anything about sexual assault claims.
Yeah. And that's what we don't want. We want students to feel safe while they're attending college. You know, we want to allow them, we want them to want to strive for higher education and feel safe while they're doing it.
I mean, it almost sounds like DeVos is protecting the institutions and the accused more than the victims, and that's where it kind of comes into.
But we'll just have to wait and see what she wants to implement.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree as, you know, female college students that this is, I mean, at least I feel that this is, my women's rights are definitely being, like, taken a step back. Do you girls feel the same way?
Right. I do. Like, this is her stepping stone to just repealing more women's rights, which makes no sense because she's a woman herself. So,
well, DeVos a lot of people say that she bought herself into her position. She, in fact, donated close to $200 million to the Republican Party. So it's just interesting that we're having this conversation.
Right. So we'll have to wait and see. 2 cases of chickenpox have been reported on Cal State Fullerton campus, according to an email sent out by the Dean of Students' office. The students were diagnosed at the health center last week and were advised to stay home until they are no longer contagious. Chickenpox is usually spread through directed contact with someone infected. The best way to prevent yourself from chickenpox is through vaccinations. CSUF does not offer the vaccine, so students are advised to see their healthcare provider. No other cases have been reported on campus so far this semester.
According to the Daily Titan, around 1,500 small American flags were laid out across the Titan Walk lawn by the CSUF College Republicans Club in remembrance of 9/11. The flags resembled the Twin Towers and the Pentagon building that were attacked. Event director of College Republicans Club, Ryan Hoskins, said the purpose was to offer students a chance to reflect on the memory of the event and the lives lost. Michael Aparan, a club member who designed the layout of the flags, said the memorial's design was inspired by national cemeteries around the world.
Hurricane Irma was downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm on September 11th, and it is expected to further weaken on September 12th. But according to the National Weather Service, this storm is still dangerous. Both storm surge and inland flooding remain a risk over the southeast states. Hurricane Irma was considered the most powerful storm ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean when it approached the Northeast Caribbean on September 5th. With winds up to 185 miles per hour, it had strengthened to a Category 5 storm. The storm has killed 37 people in the Caribbean and at least 6 people in Florida.
The Santa Monica Pier was evacuated and temporarily closed down because of a bomb threat on September 11th. The incident began when Santa Monica police received a call from Hawthorne PD and Culver City PD alerting about a bomb in a vehicle south of the pier. Authorities urged people to avoid the area as bomb robots searched the parking lot. The pier and its surrounding businesses and the beach were evacuated as a precaution. Shortly before 6:40 p.m., authorities found the vehicle safe. The pier was also deemed safe and it reopened. Well, that's all the time we have for the report today. Stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Leslie Duarte.
I'm Shannon McKercher.
I'm Aaliyah Becerra.
And I'm Alyssa Ruiz. Stay fresh, Fullerton.